Okay. Live on the Zoom. Let's check it out on the channel. Yep, there we are. Solstice 25 update and energy read. Come on, come up there. Why are you not? Okay, so I'm just going to go on and say it. There may be some technical difficulties because apparently we've taken some more hits from the sun. What in the world is going on? My name is Sheila Karuna. Welcome to, if you're seeing this right now as it's live, you're on Sassy Seer Sheila. If you are watching this on New Light Streaming Love, you are watching a recording. Today is Friday, June the 20th, 2025. And now I'm wondering if this is even working because I can't get my phone to let me pull up the channel. It won't let me to see if it's actually live. Okay, maybe I have to restart my phone. So no, I don't need you, Siri. Interesting too, because oh my gosh, I just saw it's 11:11. Okay, wow. Totally not planned. Totally can't see if I'm live or not. This is recording, so I can share it on Sassy Seer Sheila later. Wow. Unable to get my phone to work at the moment so that I can pull up the channel to see if it's live, but also to see when folks join and read comments. I know we've taken on the 19th, I think it was, an AX 1.2 flare from the sun. And boy, oh boy, am I feeling it. I suspect there's been another one recently because what to know about space just came up on my phone. So you know they listen. Of course, I have Apple, so we know that as well. I'm trying to get to y'all. Hopefully, there we go. Yay! Now I can see it. I had to restart my phone apparently so I could see the chat. So at any rate, I have felt as though I'm on some sort of accelerated something or other since I woke up this morning. Meaning, I feel like stuff is moving so fast that I can't keep up. And then I hear, well, Lisa sent me, my housemate Lisa Flamino Rush sent me a video this morning that to me, and I posted it on my Facebook. So if you're a Facebook friend of mine and you haven't looked at my page, I highly recommend that you go and take a look at this video. It's only like 11 or 12 minutes. And I put part 2 in the comments. And then the gentleman said it is from Eek Acres. He did a third video, but it doesn't sound like a part 3. And he was speaking to you, and I thought, I can't believe he just said that. that things are moving way so fast. And I was like, yes, of course, I feel that too, especially today. And I'm not quite clear. And then I realized that today's the solstice. I have also recorded something that I didn't have a chance to put out yet, but I'm about to. I Again, things moving so quickly, it feels like I can't even keep up with myself, much less anything else. I certainly can't keep up with Jason because, oh my God, I have so many things that I know that I am to record of his just because I can, the minute I see it, I get that nudge. And I don't read any of what I record prior to of his. I know immediately if I'm supposed to record it, but I'm not always nudged to record it right then, which I also find quite interesting. So when I begin recording his work, oh wow, the alchemy elemental card that came out was sky, lightning, star. And lightning does feel like, because it's such an electric uh, snap to this feeling that I've had all this morning. It's almost as though I feel like I'm going so fast I can barely speak even, if that makes any sense. So this fellow at Eek Acres, I feel he has had an absolute experience of what I have experienced, only mine was so personal to me. There really wasn't any way to, but I think this fellow has proof because his wife also very knows the owners of this restaurant in which he's speaking on. He has experienced a timeline collapse where he I'm beginning to suspect that in his case he may actually be in a different body as well. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, now how does that work? I don't really know, but I'm telling you, I have jumped from one vessel to another. I got nothing I can point to prove it to you except how the body feels from one moment in time to the next. And there are little telltale signs on my personal body that it allows me to know that. Now, I'm also, what has happened for me, see yourself in nature. That's very interesting that it would come out. It's not the final resting spot. Now, the one thing that I just recorded recently, somebody new that I've not run into before, my sister sent it to me. Someone on X explaining her experiences regarding timeline collapse, which again is kind of interesting to me that, and then this other fellow comes into my field, right? Her take on the situation is that there were, only two, wow, that one really wanted to come out. Two possible timelines that were being, yep, that's a good one. Surrender worry, because there's no point in worrying about stuff, in my view. At any rate, I'm not going to tell you what it was all about because you'll get to hear it, because I am going to put that out immediately following this this live that I'm doing. And I want to reach out to her. I feel that she is a female energy. She's using the name Mott, Maat on X, and see if she would be up for a conscious conversation to share what she is getting. Now, I want to say this again because even though I say the words, I don't feel as though everybody really takes in what my meaning behind it. Folks who feel guided to share information, they're getting it from their own intuition, their own experiences, and then they share it. It's been my observation over the last 8 years that everybody is getting the same information. We speak it a little bit differently, partly because we understand that information a little differently. And I can see why, because we've all been programmed and conditioned in a myriad of ways on this planet. No one has received the exact same programming and conditioning across the board. There are similarities, yes, but depending on where you grew up, your culture, your family makeup, how things went down, all of those experiences serve to color how you view incoming data and whether or not you believe it. If you do, how do you store it? You know, that sort of thing. And so as one feels guided to share, it comes out a little differently. Now, because when folks get that information, well, they just know it's true because they got it and they believe their own intuition. And why wouldn't you, right? For me, having had that experience of my guidance telling me I was going to go viral, oh, and here we are 8 years later, and I have 208 subscribers. The furthest thing from viral there is. And, but my last name is Karuna. So 2017, I get a message that I'm going viral. Fast forward to 2020, no one can say that Corona didn't go viral. So, and I feel like that experience was specifically done for me to realize that this exactly what I'm saying to you is the way it works. Everybody gets information that comes into their vessel, into their experiential filters, and we understand it in a particular way. And most especially if we now are sharing it and there is any kind of remuneration involved where, you know, let's say the only way that one feels like they can continue on is to put something behind a paywall. Well, now that has to be protected at all costs. But I think that everybody gets bits and pieces of exactly what is happening. And if one relaxes their focus and just takes in the data, this is why I always say that developing one's discernment is so key. Because I don't write off everything somebody says just because I don't agree with one thing, or I I think that that part is all wet because that's not how any of that works for me. Again, I I know that my guidance was smack on. It was my interpretation of that guidance that was off. And it was off in those moments. Hey, you never know. Perhaps this channel, me, whatever, might go viral someday. I don't know that. So for me, who wants to go first? Okay, apparently the divine animal oracle wants to go first. Kindness. Oh, how lovely. The fruit bat or flying fox. So what I decided was I wanted to do an energy read. Today is also the solstice, the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, and it will be exact at 10:42 p.m. this evening Eastern Daylight Time. And what I was saying to you about feeling like things were moving so fast, that's when I realized that, oh, yeah, and today's the solstice. So kind of interesting, all of that, wouldn't you say? And now I'm also noticing here that this card number 12, is a 3 numerologically, and threes have been rather profound in my life. I mean, I've been surrounded by them in different times, in different ways. And so twos and threes, actually. And it's kind of interesting because Jason reached out. I was already asleep last night, but said that twos and threes were around him again pretty heavily. So the key word for this card is kindness. Now, I'll tell you what I see a lot of first of all, the fact that they are flying, that for me, there's a lot about information in this card. There's also rain pictured in this card. So there's a lot about emotion. Which, okay, I'm being flooded with a whole bunch of information right now. I was being shown my conversation with Crystal yesterday. Okay, so you may find yourself being quite emotional of late. I know I have been off and on. And I feel like that's because there's a lot of purging still going on. Purging of timelines, purging of things that we are just asked to let go of as they no longer serve us. And sometimes it's difficult to remember to be kind when purging difficult things, right? So I think this is reminding me to also be kind to myself, right? Choose kindness, which isn't always the easy way. Kindnesses will always be repaid. Consider others in your decisions, especially those with less power than you. Repay your debts, spread the seeds of goodwill, and your fortunes will grow. That's absolutely true as far as I'm concerned. Mythos. Princess Letogi was royalty from the Samoan Islands. She was sent to Tonga to become the second wife of the king of Samoa at the time. This was not a love match, as she was sent as part of a peace treaty through marriage between kingdoms. Although sealing alliances through marriage was a common practice, often those wives were part of this kind of that were part of this kind of union were treated badly and looked down upon by the community. One day, as she walked through the gardens, Latogi discovered a baby bat that was sick and wounded. She was a kind and gentle woman, and in her mercy, looked after the little bat until it was well again. She then released it back into its colony. This act didn't remain a secret as the royal court watched everything Latogi did. The court laughed at her kindness and thought her weak and stupid, which made her an easy target when the king's fortunes declined. The royal court suggested that it was Latogi who caused the king's problems, and they decided to kill her by burning her on a pyre. The flames were lit, and it's very interesting that this come up again too, because that's been a lot of has been in the field of a lot of light workers, because there's been a lot of light workers who have experienced just that at one point in their existence and have memory of that. So very interesting that, wouldn't you say? The baby bat, let's see, the flames were lit and the flames rose to engulf Latogi when suddenly the sky darkened. The baby bat and his family had not forgotten the kindnesses of the princess and had come to help her. Thousands upon thousands of bats flew above the fire, urinating down on the flames to extinguish them. Latogi was saved, but her trials were not yet over. Frustrated, the Tongan kings exiled her to a very small island with nothing to eat. The island was completely barren, so the king and his court were sure that Latogi would soon starve. Again, the fruit bats assisted her. They brought her food, including fruits and seeds, and they kept her happy with their smiling company. Soon, the island became one of fertility and plenty, as many of the bats made it their new home. The kind princess was very happy, and she became a goddess of plenty and fertility, and the patroness protector of all bats. The Samoan flying fox, Pteropus samoensis, is a protected animal in Tonga and Samoa because of this beautiful mythos. A mammal, it is the largest flying fox in the Pacific with a wingspan of up to 1 meter. Unusually, this species does not form large colonies, but exists as monogamous pairs with children. Fruit bats, which are also known as flying foxes, play a key role in pollination and seed dispersal throughout their habitat. Rather than using sonar, they have keen eyesight and hearing, and they are also very intelligent. They suckle their young and are caring parents. The magic. Fruit bats are a vital part of the ecosystem, ensuring seeds are spread and fertility of the land is secured. The energy here is one of fertility and plentifulness. Oh, that's interesting, since one of the other cards that came out is you've won the lottery. Wow. Okay. All right. That's very interesting. Invite flying fox energy into your workings when you wish to invoke more kindness or fertility. The symbology of this card: fruit bat, seeds, baby bat, and I would say abundance. The status of least concern but declining due to habitat loss. And also, again, for me personally, I feel like I'm being shown a little bit about emotion and just allowing whatever uh, needs to rise, to show me what is trying to be communicated to me by that emotion. For me personally, stuffing emotion down is part of what led to my becoming 490 pounds in my lifetime, and not a really good plan. So, also the surrender deck gave us surrender worry. Make a commitment not to lead an anxiety driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that spirit is guiding you always. Which actually, for me, also goes to this about kindness and abundance, because true abundance is having what one needs when one needs it, not stockpiling and hoarding money, goods, stuff, right? I have a tendency of not getting rid of things because I've been poor all my life, right? Um, you know, and that's a trauma that I've been asked to release. And because it is so that if I do trust myself and the universe, it will be provided. And so far, that has been so. I'm still, I'm operating here on just less than 1,600, less than right at $1,500 a month. And I'm not wanting for anything. And I feel as though should something pop off, oh my, I'm just realizing number 22, this card is number 22 that came up because it wanted to go next. That if it's meant to be for me, then it will be. I don't have to worry about things, which I know that right now there's a lot going on, supposedly, on the world stage. And notice that I said supposedly, because quite frankly, I don't know what's really happening. I know what's happening here in my own backyard, but I have no idea as to what's going on anywhere else. So yeah. So this card wanted to come out next, and it is card number 22, the Master Maker, which I always feel too like it speaks to friendship there, because those two are together like that. I don't know. That's very interesting. There is a card in this deck called Friends, but this one, for some reason, also, for especially right now, I've never actually said that out loud before. So that's very interesting. Support of one another. Perhaps that's it as well. So the Master Maker, the key phrases here are skill, craftsmanship, magician, moral strength, and invention. The Master Maker is the master of the forge upon which we create our futures and forge our own souls. He sees the world beyond the other world, the world of first causes. Through his magic, he brings them into his own world of fairy. From his world, these concepts trickle down into our own through dreams and visions picked up by artists and craftsmen everywhere. But he makes the first, the original. He is the great inventor, and the sign above his door reads, "Practical problems solved here." Wow, okay. He sings as he works, and as in all fairy magic, his song does as much to shape objects as do the blows of his hammer. Healing cups, magic swords, merry fairy jewels, crowns of stars, and other bespelled works of the finest craftsmanship pass through his forge. I'm I'm seeing the forge in the Lord of the Rings. The what was his name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember it. I just saw it in the series that Amazon has done. Of course, that didn't end up so well, but I'm seeing that was flashed before me just then. Um, and that's because that master uh, put aside what he knew would be right for him, and he allowed his ego to lead the way rather than his heart. Now, that was a really good depiction of how, because I really do feel like we are moving from the ego based consciousness to a heart based consciousness, as has been described in the Jeshua channelings. And if you haven't heard of that before, that it is in a playlist here on the channel. I received permission from that author to record her work, and it's also freely available if you would prefer to read them for yourself rather than have me read them for you. You can find it at jeshua.net. But I got to be honest with you, that was the most validating thing I've read in quite some time as far as what it is we got going on here. So that the master of fire, air, earth, and water, he adds the fairy element of moonlight to everything he creates. He would be the first to tell you that superb craftsmanship, however magical, is hard work, joyful and energizing hard work, but always challenging. As the master maker reminds us, no job is too small to do beautifully. I mean, that's true. Wow, I just was exposed to another being who said, even if your job is to sweep the floor, why wouldn't you want to be the best floor sweeper you ever knew or ever came across? And I could not agree more. If you don't like your job, find one you do like. And I mean, of course, I think it's silly we have to work for a living, but I'm just saying, it is within our wherewithal to be the best at whatever we're doing. No job is too small to do beautifully. His work is done as well as possible, even where it will. Oh my goodness, I just got a private message from Jason. Very interesting. His work is done as well as possible, even where it will never be seen by anyone else. And that's true too. I give my all. There's 3 people watching right now, according to this. And I'm doing this for me. So why wouldn't I want it to be the very best I could be? The whole point of this is for me to because really what it is me talking to me. You're just along for the ride. If you were drawn here, you're more than likely going to find something that resonates with you. Otherwise, you'll shut the channel off. And there's a lot of that. And I get it. And that's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all because I'm not trying to make money from any of this. Bringing ideas into excellently crafted reality can only be done when we, like the master maker, are willing to plan meticulously, begin carefully, and persevere through difficulties, learning still more of our craft as we work. Craftsmanship is also a labor of love. We must be willing to tackle different challenges and have a determination to surpass previous achievements. Patience is always required, as is the willingness to do a thing again and again until it is even better than the best one can do. The master maker has the moral strength to refuse the temptation to do anything less. And that's true. I think that might be partly why I don't want to make this a job. I just I just had that come across my field again this morning, right? That there are ways to turn this into making money. But I have a feeling the minute I turn this into a job, I'm not going to be interested in doing it anymore. So the master maker has the moral strength to refuse the temptation to do anything less, and he is a protector and teacher of the traditional values of his craft. Yet, in balance to all of this, the master reminds us that we also need to learn our own limits. Not everyone can do everything superbly. When we discover our talents and choose our craft, then we gain great joy and fulfillment from developing that skill into an art. I feel like that's true, especially if it's something you enjoy doing. We grow more like the master each time we do the best we can, and then stretch ourselves to do a little better than that. Do whatever you do as well as you can, and then make it even better. The Master Maker reminds us that our very best work is always desirable, and in the present situation, it is necessary for success. In fact, he asks that we surpass our previous best. Don't cut corners and don't take the easy way. You know, that because of the video that came into my field yesterday, that where the being actually said this very same thing, that now for me seems to be a theme that I need to pay specific attention to. Whether making a thing or fulfilling a concept, be sure the design is elegant, pure, and functional, and then follow it, attending to every detail in its turn. He says, design beyond your skill and then raise the level of your skill to fulfill it. Well, in many ways, I suppose that is kind of what I'm moving through here, because I have been shown by my guidance where eventually I'll be speaking in front of a lot of people. So that's kind of interesting. Give and accept only the best and do it with your love of your craft, whatever that craft may be. This card speaks of long-lasting achievement, creative problem solving, and confident action. It may suggest cooperation with others, especially from a position of responsibility or of teaching one's craft to others. Well, that's interesting as well, because there's at least one being that I've had a chat with this week. Oh, actually, two that would like to do their own podcasts. Success comes from practical application of traditional principles in life and work. The only thing is, because I'm not trying to make money, and quite frankly, I'm still not very paid very much attention to, I don't know that I'd be the best person to guide them. That's kind of funny. Because again, for me, that's not what any of this is about. I'm guided to do this, to share, and I don't really even understand the why of it. And so, because I'm just a bumbling along old lady doing whatever she feels to do, and I don't really even know how to do any of it, um, I don't know that I'd be the best to assist them in their quest. Okay, so the hero's journey wants to come next, and because it says you've won the lottery, and based on that other card, speaking to, well, in a way, the master maker also sort of speaks to hard work, which leads to abundance, doesn't it? Okay, so this one is card number 38. Numerologically, that's an 11. I did notice that um, even though it certainly wasn't planned, um, today began, this recording began going live right at 11:11, which I felt was kind of interesting. Um, oh yeah, and also, let me see. Can I get to that? This the today's solstice comes with, or on the heels of, I should say, some pretty big CMEs. Um, right before launching this live, yes, and they're erupting from a region called AR 4114. Now, um, fours are all about foundation, and 11, okay, is a master number. So that's very interesting to me on a lot of different levels. Oh, and I'm going to share my screen. Y'all got to see this now, because this is too wild for me. There's too many synchronicities here. Okay, so here's the screen that I'm looking at. Sun News, June 20th, another X flare from the spot region AR 4114. Look at here, 11 UTC to 11 UTC. So apparently there's a lot of 11s. My hands are just a buzzing right now. Solar activity surged to high levels late on June 19th when AR 4114 produced an X 1.9 flare at 2350 UTC. This marked the strongest event of the day and highlighted AR 4114's continued complexity, even as it undergoes gradual decay. This is the second X flare this week, both from AR 4114. Analysts observed a minor CME associated with a smaller region in the southwest, with a potential for an Earth directed component. Well, I have a feeling, to be honest with you, I have a feeling that one has erupted. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't looked, but the way my head feels right now, and this accelerated feeling that I have, there's something that is happening with that, right? I mean, just being open to being shown, I'm sure that I will learn something throughout the day. I will be shown what this is all about, right? So this one says, you've won the lottery, make room for wonderment. And oh, wow, okay, so that's very interesting. There is a quote here from somebody named Melody Beatty or Beatty. Gratitude unlock. That's so interesting because I was singing my gratitude song in the shower. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. And I'd like to point out that, okay, for me, what I hear in that, it is a matter of perspective and what one is willing to allow themselves to see, sense, and feel. I mean, I'm, and this, oh, that is what I mean when I say my truth. I had a conversation with my grown son, and he does not like to hear that, my truth. There's only one truth. Well, I know right where he got that. His mother programmed that right into him. There's only one truth, but the truth of the matter is that's not true. Depends upon one's perspective. And my truth does not have to be your truth. They can both and do both exist at the same time. That's something that I very clearly see in these moments of now. Because otherwise, how in the world, and that's just it. You got somebody who, okay, it says turns denial into acceptance. How do you do that? If the truth is this, then how could it be this? Unless both of those absolutely exist at the same time. And that is a matter of a person's perspective and what they are willing to see, sense, and feel. In my view, that's because I'm telling you, that is certainly the way it has worked out for me over the last few years. Now, the message with this card, if you think about it, you have an unending list of things for which to be grateful. In fact, if you could really see, you'd fall to your knees in absolute wonderment at the blessings in your life. Boy, that is the truest thing I've heard in a long time. Because I have a lot to be thankful for myself. The secret to having more isn't in strategizing on how to get the green grass on the other side of the fence. Radical gratitude is about beholding the miracle of the grass growing on your side of the fence. To rise to a higher level, you may even add your challenges and struggles to your gratitude list, which I have. And I'm telling you, I've had quite a few struggles in my life, but I'm so grateful. I see them in such a different way now. I've labeled some things in my life as mistakes or bad or horrific instances. And now I see them in a completely different way. With radical gratitude, uh, you realize you are more abundant than you ever could have imagined. You've already won the lottery. You may have thought radical gratitude would be a threat to your ambition, a bucket of ice on your fire to achieve more. That is not so. Gratitude is magnetic. It will bring you the best things in life and give you even more to be grateful for in a never ending upward spiral of awe. I really, truly do believe that that is so. I've witnessed that now for myself. This card comes with a dream symbol attached to it, a windfall. Dreams of winning the lottery are a sign that you've struck it rich. See this dream as positive reinforcement, a reward that you are. my my eyes are trying to cross. I mean, that happens because I have a vertical imbalance in my eye. Hold on a second. That you are on the right track. Your lottery dream is an energetic reminder that your life is a mountain of priceless gifts that will take a lifetime to unwrap. Get ready, as abundance consciousness will attract even more blessings into your life. And I myself really do feel like that is so. I can't tell you how many things have actually presented themselves to me for me that I would never in a million years have believed could have happened in my prior perspective on life. There's a mantra associated with this card. I am an attractor beam, magnetic to the best things in life. Well, the truth of that statement for me is that we are magnetic tractor beams. We will receive exactly what we put out. Because to me, that is the true definition of karma. My housemate, Lisa Flamino Rush, helped me see this a while back, that karma is less about what everybody thinks of, you did this in this life and now you have to do this in this life. No, it's really more about what we put out, we receive in kind. There's a reciprocal flow that happens. And I really feel like that's a true statement. I've seen where that is absolutely a true statement. So the see yourself in nature card, this is a beautiful card because see yourself in nature. You are born of man and woman, but humanity is born of the natural world. Now it is time to reconnect. Look out into the natural world. Wow, with that recording that I did that I'm getting ready to put out after this live, I was thinking just that. We all reside in a sentient being that we have named Earth. But she, and I'll call her she too, is a sentient being of her own, and she has chosen her timeline. And we better get with the program or we ain't going to survive on this planet. In my view, that's what it is, because we are born of this realm, and she is this realm. Wow, I cannot unsee that. Explore your world and you will see who you are. Peel away all judgment and dogma born of man and see your truest nature mirrored in the beautiful world around you. See that your emotions are like the weather and that your senses reach into the sky and earth like the branches and roots of the trees. See yourself in nature and nature within yourself. Wow, I think that's absolutely true because it, again, depends on your perspective and how you're willing to view all of life. Are you a part of it or are you separate from it? Neither one of them is wrong to think and feel. I mean, we've had such a education of thinking that we were totally separate from nature when in fact we are not at all separate from nature, in my view anyway. Okay, so here's another 3 numerologically. Card number 58 is a 3 numerologically, and it's the card of beauty. Very interesting, this card. And she too is depicted in with a blue background and looking rather emotional as well. So that's very interesting here. To celebrate the divine feminine is to honor her beauty, her endless bounty, and abundant creativity. Well, wow, that sounds as though I'm also being shown Earth, Sophia, Terra, all the different names that this planet has gone by. So there's something to that, and the fact that today is a solstice as well. This radiance that has nothing to do with soul-destroying cultural stereotypes based on physical appearances. It is the radiance that comes from feeling beautiful within, of allowing all that you are to shine through you and be witnessed in the world. You are being asked to let the inner beauty become one with your physical self. Well, that's where authenticity really, that's the rubber meeting the road, if you ask me, right? Because even if you're not everybody's cup of tea, you're somebody's cup of tea. And even if you're not anybody else's, you could be your own. I am finally my own cup of tea. I have an acceptance and a love for myself like I've never had before. You are being asked to let the inner beauty become one with your physical self. You don't have to change the way you look to become more of the divine beauty that you are. You just need to change the way you look at yourself. That is so true. Behold the divine within you. Wow, take that in for a moment. Because in truth, that is what we are, is divine. Wow. You are in the process of healing past wounds about your appearance, your body, and your sexuality, finding purity in all of yourself, and becoming ready to share that with others in a deeper and more open way, without shame or self-criticism. That is a huge thing for me to be reading to you and to know that it's true with all of me. Having been 490 pounds, you can imagine the absolute horrific way I used to speak to myself, view myself, the way others viewed me, which also colored the way I viewed myself. And wow, things just couldn't be any more different. And it's not because I'm thinner now. No, 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 no. It has to do with me seeing me, feeling me, looking for me, becoming happy and content with me, who I am, what I am. Man, that's the other thing. I never allowed myself to actually get to know who I am and what I am. And now I'm doing that. So, uh, becoming ready to share that with others in a deeper, more open way without shame or self criticism. Take your time and fall in love with what you are. Then you can become not the victim of others' own projected shame, but the love necessary for the shame of the world to heal. This oracle indicates a significant change in self perception taking place within you, an ability to love and accept yourself more completely than you ever have before, quite simply because you have grown and there is more divinity awakened in your heart than ever before. That is the truest statement I've read all day because I know that to be true about myself. That I am such a different person now than I have been all my life, to be honest with you. Wow. Okay, I love this. This oracle indicates you a significant change in perception taking place within you, an ability to love and accept yourself more completely than you ever have before, quite simply because you have grown and there's more divinity awakened in your heart than ever before. The nature of the divine is love, and you are realizing that you don't have to change to be beautiful. Allow this development to grow swiftly and embrace your uniqueness, beloved. You are an exquisite flower in the heavenly garden. And that's true. And there's three people in here, and at least one of you, I'm sure, said, "Oh, yeah, that's fine for you because you're whatever you think I am." But the truth of the matter is, we all are beautiful. Every single one of us. The entire point is uniqueness. Yep, absolutely. Hello, Kristen Bailey. Nice for you to be here today. How many times I've looked in your eyes and sailed away beyond my dreams to a sheltered thought on a quiet beach where the sand is soft as flour. You may never know this place, and someday when you look in my eyes, I will tell you. I don't know what that's from, but that was the last part of this. Wow, I really love that. And the fact that, well, I just love that whole thing. Boy, today's reading has been quite lovely. And I'm feeling much more settled within myself in these moments. When this reading started, I that acceleration I was speaking on was so pronounced. It was very intense. And I don't feel nearly as accelerated as I did in those moments when this reading started. So I think I'm pretty sure that whether another one has happened from the sun or it has it is permeating the Earth's field. Something has been going on that caused that acceleration feel that I had earlier. Because it also, there was also, and still is a bit of a headache going on there. Okay, so the last card is Sky Lightning Star. And like I said, this was the first deck that I shuffled. And how interesting, because I recall that what I said when this card came out, I said, yes, it's feels quite like lightning right now. Like, you know, an electrical storm, right? That's what I was feeling. Okay, so it's on page 67. Okay. You've been shining bright like the amazing lit leader of legacy that you are. Your gifts and your essence and your expression are having a powerful impact on those around you. The path you walk may not be easy, my love, but it is a path of honor and integrity. The purity of your heart and the impeccability of your spirit radiate forth as a shining example for your community. Your tribe wants to honor you for all the inspiration and beauty you radiate and reflect. The spirits want to bless you with opportunities and with doorways to abundance. Wow. Okay, now that's the third. Is it the third or the fourth thing about abundance that's come out in today's reading? Let yourself receive these gifts. Avail yourself of rewards and surprises that reflect your greatness. Well, that's very sweet. And but like I said, that's not why I do any of this. I've never made it a secret that this has always been about my own personal growth. I also am not, it's not lost on me. I do know that the reason I feel driven to do this out loud is because it's about allowing folks to see what questioning oneself and moving from a state of trauma to a state through a healing and to a state of well, chaos for a short time and whatever, and into something else, which I, shows itself as it shows itself. I'm very well aware of that as well, because that's what my guidance has been. And I had to understand that this is what was being asked of me, which is another reason why I don't charge for anything I do, and certainly not for what I'm doing here. Kristen Bailey said, I was just giving gratitude to my hive, tribe, and community before I came in. How lovely. You have a hive too? That's lovely. I've been shown that at some point, or it could also be another existence that I have, that I've been part of a larger community where there's tiny houses involved. I had an entire vision of that in 2017. How that's supposed to happen and all that stuff, I got no clue. I got no clue. When? I got no clue. Or even if, to be honest with you, at this point, because that was 8 years ago. But I just know that if it's meant to be, it will be, and I don't have to worry about it. And apparently, it is that way in some realm. Now I'm going to point folks back again to my Facebook page, because this reading is over, but I'm going to point y'all to my Facebook page. I made a post. There is a fellow who has his own homestead, and this is Lisa sent me this video this morning. He has had an experience now that many of us that have been on this quest of I don't know, truther, looking into things, that sort of thing, call the Mandela effect, but one that's pretty huge. And he's done 2 videos about it. I put the first one in the post. I put the second one in the comments. I would love for you to go and take a look at that. My feeling is this: This man is having proof offered to him that he has experienced timeline collapse. He visited a restaurant that he's known his entire life for more than 40 years. He knows the whole story of how this restaurant was owned by a certain person. And then he went to dinner with his wife, and there were different people in the restaurant, and the restaurant was up for sale. And different people who claimed to have been owning this restaurant now for 17 years. When just a month ago he was there having dinner, and the same people who had owned it for a lot longer than that were still there. So, and then in the second video, which Facebook page? My own personal Facebook page, Sheila Karuna. My my take on this is either timeline collapse, which I'm getting ready to put out a video of my reading somebody else's post on X about her thoughts of timeline collapse. And so it's not lost on me that Lisa sent me this video this morning, because when stuff like this happens, everybody gets a piece of the elephant in the room. And we all report on our little piece of the elephant in the room. And so it's you have to become a puzzle piece collector in order to piece together what could be at least possible, plausible going on. I know that a lot of people will say, well, that's just crazy. That don't happen. Okay, I got nothing I'm trying to sell you anyhow. But what's your explanation for that? Him and his wife, she knew who owned that restaurant as well. And so I have shared on this channel before that I just know that I have found myself in a different body many times. It still Sheila, but circumstances and nothing in the outward that I could point to, but I've become very well versed on my own body, having lived in it now for 63 years. This man just recently had surgery where they took his kidney from cancer. Now, who's to say? Wouldn't it be interesting to find out that a lot of what has been gone on in his body, maybe not so much anymore? I don't know. I'm just saying things are possible, plausible, and it would behoove all of us, in my view, to soften our gaze as to what we really know about reality. Because what if? Just because we've gone our entire lives believing something is true, there's been an awful lot in my reality that I can point to say that not so much. Kristen said, would you check for my friend request? I have more to send you after our Zoom meeting on Monday. Oh, okay. Yes, I will. I didn't. Does it say Kristen Bailey or is it a different name? Make sure I know what it is, or send me a private message just in case, and I'll look for that as well. I'm just saying, man. For me, if it's possible and plausible, it's got to be brought into the realm of possibilities, because some things that have been taking place on this planet have no rational explanation. And yes, this is a Mandela effect, but that's a huge Mandela effect. And so I'm sorry, but just because we've always thought something was so does not necessarily mean that we were told the truth or that it is the truth. And I'll say this again. I don't personally believe in the truth anymore. I can't. I don't care who is telling me that there's only one truth. I'm telling you, no, there ain't. Because truth is a matter of perspective. It depends on where you fall on the perspective of it, which is again why I feel like it's very possible for things to be true and false all at the same time. And that's the way I hold it. And no one will ever convince me otherwise. I get it that folks really want things to be one way or the other because we've been brought up from time we're teeny tiny that this is the way it is. And come on, feel into it, because if you were told from the time you were born that this is the way it is, and something gets presented to you that is contrary to that, I don't know, man. You just have to start. To me, you got to start softening that focus and seeing that things can, because I'm telling you, a lot of stuff that we've been told about who and what we are and what we got going on this planet is just not so on any sort of level. And with that understanding under my belt, then that makes every single thing a little suspect. And which really goes to the point and the reason why developing one's own discernment is so key. Because I really do feel that everybody is getting pieces and parts of that big absolute truth, but nobody has the entire story. Nobody. Those who claim that they do, my advice to you is run as fast as you can run from them. Because in truth, that's nope. I can see where it's a very slippery slope right there. Anyway, I hope you'll look out for that recording. I'm hoping to get her, I believe it's a she, to come and have a conscious conversation with me. Also, I'm looking forward to having maybe even an open forum type conversation with folks. I don't know. We'll see how that all goes. Because I think things are about to really be shown to us in a whole bunch of different ways. So I hope you found, if you were just joining us and you didn't get to hear the whole reading, go back and take a look, because I think today's reading for the solstice for me is really interesting in that what I got from it is, again, to soften my focus, to realize that your own, and don't put anybody else's perspective ahead of your own. Don't go, well, Sheila said, no. Develop your own discernment. Anybody who's trying to tell you, convince you that they got your answer, only you can give you your answer. Because of the whole thing about perspective, that's the safest way forward. Even if I'm wrong, even if I am wrong, I will be shown eventually what I had wrong. And I would rather be the one that I'm listening to rather than somebody else's. So, at any rate, until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you, and realize that your own personal perspective is the only way to go, man. Even, but just remain open to being shown the proper way and follow your own inner guidance. Always, always, always. Until we meet again, mwah, be well, my friends.